Hello, everyone. Can you still hear me, guys? Yep, great. So not sure if everyone is here already, but it's great to be here. It's great to be with you guys and with all of the people around. It's a first for me, but I'd love to know more about everyone's in the room. If you're here, guys, maybe can you tell us where you come from so we can have a better idea of where everyone is from and see how the digital tools help us to connect from everywhere. So we have Zoe from Grenoble. Hello, Zoe. Nice to meet you. New York, Quentin from New York. Not sure if everyone has joined already, but we're going to start soon. Let's keep it one more minute for people to join, and we can start. Hello from London. Okay, great. So that's great to see these new tools helping everyone connect from everywhere in the world. So that's really impressive. Um, okay, so let's start now. So very happy to have everyone, and very happy to share the stage with these great speakers that I will introduce. So I'm Charles. I'm Chief Business Officer at Scalo. So Scalo, we are a scale up. We raised in total $60 million, and we are a scheduling platform, scheduling software for shifted workers. And we are around 150 people. Before that, my role has been I've been a CFO for almost 4 years at Botify, which is a French scale-up that grew in the US too. And so I know a bit about CFOs, but certainly less than our speakers. I will be careful this time because when we did the rehearsal, I said that I was tech savvy or that I was a bit a geek, and then I learned that Quentin was a software engineer. So it always it's always in these times that you realize that you should have shut up. And so maybe we can start with you, Quentin. Maybe can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Charles. Nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Quentin. I lead finance and operations at Double. So Double provide busy executives with experienced part-time remote assistants. And we also build technology tools to help executives and assistants work better together. So a core client would be Charles, someone who's a C-level executive at a mid-sized company growing a lot. They don't have in-house assistants, but they need support with calendar management, inbox management, travel booking, expenses, etc. So we match them with one dedicated assistant. They're going to work with them 5, 10, 15 hours per week. And we also build technology tools for the two of them to collaborate together. We're based in New York City, where I'm here now. We have 20 people at HQ, and we're working with about 100 executive assistants all over the US. We're fully remote all over the US and in France. And when it comes to the finance department, I'm on my own in finance, and I actually lead finance and operations. So there's no one fully dedicated to finance at Double. We do work with external accounting firm, but otherwise it's me. And in the past, I worked with LVMH at Instacart, so much larger finance organizations, and I'll be happy to share more. But happy to be here.
So you're alone, Quentin, but you have a lot of CPU helping you doing the heavy lifting for your
Exactly.
finance task. But we'll see that later. Pavla, we have Pavla from Muse. Pavla, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everybody. My name is Pavla. I'm CFO at Muse. We are a property management system for hotels, hostels, apartments, or basically any accommodation providers. I joined the company back in November 2016. It's going to be 5 years very soon, which I'm very excited about. We were 15 people back then. We are over 300 today. We have over 2,000 properties on our platform, 2,200 actually. And we have clients in 60 countries around the world. Our finance team is over 30 people right now, but it's not a typical finance function. I would probably split it in two parts. One is the typical one, controlling FP&A, accounting, customer billing. And the second part would be the less typical one, automation, reporting, business operations, legal, and mergers and acquisitions. So that's my team, and excited to be here.
And how many people in both, Paula? Just out of curiosity.
In both, yeah, over 30, 30, 35.
But how do they
Okay.
split? Like regular finance versus data and automation? What's the split?
Yeah, finance and automation would be like four only from these 15 untypical ones. But we also have CRM team on our side, which is additional three people who are taking care of customer operations processes as well and Salesforce.
Great, impressive team. Thank you, Pavla. Johan, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks, Charles. Hi, everyone. I'm Johan. I'm CFO at Rainbird Technologies. Rainbird is an artificial intelligence platform that allows you to build decision-making processes in a no-code way. It also allows you to codify workflows around those decisions to automate complex decisions at speed and at scale. So we're a small finance team. There's me and one other person, and obviously we also have an artificial intelligence bot that works in the finance team, which is pretty cool. But we'll talk about that a little bit later.
I'm sure people want to know more about that. That looks like dark science. So let's
Yeah.
see. And clearly, if you have questions, guys, there is a Q&A tab. Please ask your question on the go. We will potentially take questions that are relevant right away. And for the others, we'll leave some time at the end to tackle those questions. Maybe let's keep it 10 minutes at the end. So that's going to be like 35 minutes of talking and then 10 minutes of Q&A. Don't hesitate to use the Q&A tab then. So first question that comes to my mind, Pavla, with such a growing team and a growing company, what are the financial processes that are the most challenging for you and that you've been, I would say, like automating or leveraging technology to streamline?
Yeah, I think many or most of the processes are challenging when you are growing this fast because just handling all the changes that are happening is super complicated. So it's really like the most important part probably is to keep your mind open, and when you set something up, be just ready to just change it all in a couple of weeks or so. But like if I should choose really one or two, then one I think is around billing, because our pricing and billing is quite complex, and we offer payments processing, but also subscription billing. We have one-off fees, transactional fees. So tracking all this, we had hard time to find one external or like one out-of-the-box tool that would just cover it all. So we created and have our own subscription management within our product, which we use. And then from there, we use lots of Zapier and synchronizers that are then syncing the data to Salesforce and our financial stack. And the second thing, which I think touches really everybody and which might be like not a typical tech thing, but the general monthly closure process management, because with so many people and just so many dependencies, and if we really want to close in 5 to 6 days for the full P&L, we need to have everything set up basically on hours almost. And we use Asana and task tracking management there. And that's one of the things that are quite robust actually. And we have lots of things set up there, and that I would really recommend to anybody.
And Pavla, please tell us maybe, do you have many entities, like legal entities, when you do the clothing? Do you need to consolidate?
Yeah, 13 entities right now. So
Okay.
yes, we do. We started with 3 and then we expanded in 1 year to 8 different ones. So yeah, it exploded suddenly, and yeah, we had to be ready with processes. Yeah.
Okay. And when it comes just for the billing part, the complexity that I understand that, for instance, you couldn't use, let's say, on-the-shelf solution for your type of billing because it's quite complex. So you had to like build in-house. Just to understand what type, is it something that you built over time, or is it something that you what made, yeah, I mean, what was the history in that part? Did you try something? Did you change several times of strategy?
Yeah.
So what can you
Yeah,
tell us a bit more?
Yeah, we're changing it all the time, basically. In the beginning, it was just a couple fields where we just inputted the actual price that should be charged right away.
Okay.
And if you look at it now, it's 2 pages with different time periods that we input, with cancellations, churn tracking even. our like transactions and exports evolved like long time, really long way. Discounting is very different. We also are moving up market in the past year, so our clients are changing a lot as well. So we need to be more flexible. So this is really something that we have to iterate all the time. Basically, it's changing, rapidly. That
And
relates to my first point, really, that I mentioned.
in terms of volume, to have an idea, how many clients do you have to build?
2,200 right now.
Okay.
But with the payments processing as well, with this part, it's getting really complex because there are just millions of transactions that you have to cut off at certain time, then invoice, then explain to the customers, consolidate, reconcile. So that's where the complexity is.
Okay, that's not for Excel, right? This type of size. Talking about Excel, Quentin, can you tell us a bit more about the main financial process that are tricky for you and how you've been automating them?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because our size is much smaller. We're working with about 350 clients now. And the finance team is one and a half people against 30. But our challenges are exactly the same. It's billing our clients because we have a lot of pricing exceptions, a lot of data coming from our systems, et cetera, and then monthly closing. And the way we've done it is by having all of the system interlinked to each other. So we use QuickBooks for everything accounting and some of the reporting, and we leave the source of truth inside QuickBooks, and we have everything flowing there. So we use Stripe for invoicing, for example. We use Ramp for expense management. We have Carta for cap table management, etc. But we make sure that all of the information is flowing automatically between all of those systems. And we talked about Excel and particularly Google Sheets that we use mostly at Double. We actually build integrations thanks to the APIs between all of those systems. So for billing, what we've been using in the last two years is an automated script, a Google script that comes from Google Sheets and then is going to create all the invoices for our clients directly in Stripe using the API. So it's using some of those solutions, leveraging either tools like Pavla was mentioning, Zapier, and some of these tools that we can find off the shelves that are leveraging the APIs, or building it in-house if you have the resources. I'm lucky that we're in a technology company. We do have some engineering resources, and when it's core to the organization, we can make those investments and create those scripts to make it easier for the finance function.
Yeah, okay. Just to answer to the question of Francois, and we'll come back to the other questions, but I do think that all these business are subscription based, but they are not necessarily software, because Quentin actually it's PA EA on demand, right? So it's not really software, but I think the three of you are on the subscription based, right?
So we are on our side. We are a managed marketplace, not a software organization, and it is. And if you go to our pricing page, it is subscription based at the beginning. So you choose a pack and you say, I'm going to work with an assistant, 30 hours a month, and then everything beyond that is billed by the hour. So it does bring some complexity with pricing as well.
Okay, great. Johan, what about your challenges in terms of finance processes?
I think I was listening to Pavla's challenges. I was like, oh my goodness, like we're an enterprise scale business, so like we have a significantly lower number of clients. In answer to Francois's question, yes, we're a software subscribed to our platform, but we also wrapped up with services which you can just buy from our service delivery team. I think similar challenges, although for us internally, like part of where we focus on the finance team for internal value creation was around not hiring someone. We're an AI company, so it would seem counterproductive to not use our own technology when it can do what it can do. And so what we did was we looked at. So I've been at Rainbird 18 months, and I inherited. I'm the first CFO there, so inherited some finance structure, but it was like building something from the ground up. And so we scoped out all of the finance function responsibilities, and a couple of the high level things that took a lot of time, but could be automated with our technology was like, so in the UK we have like an R&D tax credit, where you collate your data around projects that the internal teams are developing that could be R&D. And so we used to have a manual process by which we would speak to all of these people individually, collate how much time they spent on R&D, have this whole long process around education internally around what actually involves what R&D is. And we actually, the first thing FinanceBot was able to do was take over whole scale and productionize how we deal with R&D internally. So our tool, we've taught it how to spot R&D in the business in the same way a human would do. And so our tool can via Slack now on a monthly basis speak to the department heads and say, have you started any new projects? If they have, the tool can go through like a sort of like a consultation similar to what you do if somebody's asking you, is this R&D? And then it will in real time on our system flag a project as R&D or not R&D. And this all happens in the background, so we don't actually have to think about it. And then where it is flagged as R&D, every month the tool will via Slack ask the project team members how much time they spent on the project if they haven't filled in their timesheets, or it will go have a look at the timesheets, infer how much time was spent in R&D, go look at the payroll data, and bring those two things together and post a journal on Xero for capitalization, depending on our accounting policy. So this all that all used to take a lot of time, and now FinanceBot does it, which is great. So like we've got a whole list of things that we're working through, and FinanceBot's learning new skills all the time, which is really helpful. Although, like, obviously you still have to keep an eye on them, but it does mean that we're scaling our finance function with two of us. Our finance manager also does information security, so we don't have two full-time people in finance, so it's been a great help.
That's really impressive, Johan. And that means that you have some type of chatbot, if I understand well, that talks to the manager or team lead through Slack, and that asks questions. And based on the answers, they will be able to look at the financial data, qualify them, and for the ones that are relevant to be allocated to the project and to the activity of the team, you will be able to automatically add that and accrue that potentially, or book that in the right lines of expense.
So because it's the same every time, like this is the thing with automation and like building these workflows, because it's the same every time, it's easy to automate the workflow because it does the same thing. It goes and collects data, it takes that data, compares it to some other source of data, i.e. our payroll system, which is also in Xero, so it's in the same place, and then it executes a load of steps that you just tell it, like you take this number, you post this journal, this is what the journal looks like, and then it sends you a report at the end of the month saying, I've done this, please make sure it's okay.
That's funny. I'm still wondering, Johan, if you are a CFO or if you are a sales for this technology, because I really want to buy it now. And actually, I'm not the only one, because Clemens is asking what technology are you using for finance, but he's asking his own technology. He's eating his own dog food at Rainbird Technologies. So I'm sure you can ask him for a quote, but as his enterprise business, maybe be sure that you're big enough for that.
I said when I joined, I set like our executive team the challenge of warranting a Rainbird license for ourselves, and so I think trying to find the value within the business to warrant a license for us is building our own internal, using our technology internally.
That's great, very exciting, but yeah, I'll still want to see it. I'm waiting for the invite, Johan, so you can show me. I want to trust you, but I still need to see it with my own eyes. It looks like too nice.
happy to show it to you. It's really cool.
I will follow up with you guys. I will post on LinkedIn to tell you if this actually works, and I will fact check this. So, Pavla, maybe I'm sure everybody will be very interested to know more about your stack, your finance stack, because you have such a huge scope and a big team. So maybe tell us what tools you're using for your finance team. What are the main things that you're using, and how did that evolve over time?
Yeah. Well, I started choosing these tools when I started with Muse when we were 15 people, and I did not expect that we're going to be 300 in 4 years. I should have, but who knows that? So we are still on the first tools that we chose, which is Zero, Receipt Bank for expenses, and OCR, Approval Max for approvals. And then for reporting consolidation, I saw that I already received a question on that as well, on this many entities. We use Excel and databases. Yeah, Excel files basically connected to database. It just works on a refresh. It's all like, I wish it was all locked cells, but it is stable enough sheet. It's not that colorful one linked to another one. It's quite stable structure that we have. And then, yeah, I would say that big part of the tech stack is also the warehouse, Microsoft Azure, ETL tools and synchronizers. We're making sure that all of the tools that we use in the whole company are connected all together in one data warehouse. And then we are, working with BI solutions, which I already see Cedric was asking. We are using Power BI. We're looking at Looker right now, which is also helping to standardize the metrics that we use, which is a little pain with Power BI right now. So I would say that's probably the biggest part around that. So lots of the things that we should have automated with ERP, we automated through database connections and setups.
So that means that in your 13 entities, Pavla, all of them has one Xero account. I don't think that Xero manage consolidation natively. Okay, so everyone has his own Xero account, and then there for like aggregation or consolidation of P&L. For instance, you use an Excel with a mapping the old style way, right? For this part.
Yeah, then they are all connected through ETL to the data warehouse, and then basically the GL tables are joined through SQL calls, and that's all consolidated in the data, and then we are pulling it out basically through a bridge through IFRS basically to our final P&L statement.
Okay, so when you need to manipulate the data for like elimination of intercompany or stuff like that, you would use Excel. But for reporting, for the main KPIs, like for instance for the billing, for the revenue recognition, consolidated, you're going to have all the data flowing through the ETL, then the data warehouse, and then the reporting that's plugged on that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So all is connected. Even for intercompany reconciliations, we have dashboards which just directly immediately show you like where you have the differences. Then you go to Xero, you correct it, you refresh, and then you see the result that it matches to Xero. So even these tools are kind of already set up through databases and the reporting. But yeah, of course, we have to go log into one Xero account and then
Okay. And there's a great question from Naomi with asking, how do you manage FX? In the 13 entities, I assume that you have different FX currencies. So how do you manage that? Do you manage that on the Excel, on the aggregation? Do you manage that on the data warehouse?
Data warehouse and Excel, and we have to figure out retrospectively what exchange rate was used, and it's a pain. It's one of the reasons why we are switching now to ERP, and we're going through this complex implementation. There's no great advice I would have on FX. I basically gave up on this one. I didn't find any workarounds there.
So do you wish you would move to an ERP earlier?
Not necessarily. I think there are things that would have been better earlier, but we would again lose other things that will not be available once we switch to ERP, because some of the functions that we are enjoying within Xero or Receipt Bank, just this beautiful UI, well, sometimes we don't love it that much, sometimes it's better, but like when you have to switch to typical ERP system, then you're losing all that and you don't even realize that right before you do it. So there are lots of gaps now that we are figuring out in the process, and we're like, oh my god, we had this, that was really cool how it worked before, but suddenly we have to figure it out again from scratch, and we're just prolonging this implementation now. And yeah, we were supposed to go live actually for September. Now we just prolonged it to 1st January, and we might even go further, because we're basically designing our own tools now for OCRs, for all of the fields that we need, and it's just getting more and more complex. So I would say with something, it would be definitely easier. Earlier you switch, the less data you have to convert and the less processes you have to figure out. On the other hand, there are some things that won't be working that well anymore once we switch. So
Okay. Okay. Julien is asking which ERP you implemented that you are still which ERP is it?
yeah, we're going for Microsoft Dynamics Business Central 365. We just feel that everybody is so friendly with Excel and loving it so much, and the native connection with Power BI will really help the business. So that's where we went for Business Central.
So you didn't follow the NetSuite hype that is taking everyone.
I did not know. Like I had lots of people in the team who had experience from before, and they were not exactly excited. Depends from what really, but with Microsoft, we have really great relationship with them. We use Microsoft for lots of different things in the company, and we felt like we will have more variability to set up our own things and automate our own workflows. So that's where we decided to go with Microsoft rather than NetSuite. Yeah.
Okay. And to answer on the reporting tool, I think if I'm right, you're using Microsoft Power BI, and then
Power BI.
you're considering moving to Looker, right? It's what you
Power
said.
BI, we're testing Looker for mainly R&D teams for now, but we are thinking that it would be a good company-wide one because of the sharing and metric structure. And for sales teams, we're even looking at Tableau now and using Tableau with Salesforce. So it's really a mix of everything. But the base for us, it's Power BI, where we really have the base platform for anybody in the company. They can log in, see any reports. It's really open. So that's the main tool that we have for now.
Okay, great. Very, very helpful. So for you guys to know, Quentin is claiming that he's not using Excel. So I'm going to challenge him in front of everyone. Quentin, have you opened Excel in the last 30 days? Have you
I have,
opened the program?
and you know why I have? It's only because some lawyers or some third parties are sending us Excel files. But otherwise, we only use our internal systems. We use Google Sheets. I have to say, we do use Google Sheets for some planning, forecasting, and then, as I mentioned, for some of the invoicing. But otherwise, we really try to push everything to our tools. And Pavla was also talking about the data lake, which is absolutely key nowadays, and that we've done as well, in saying, okay, we use some of our Google Sheets, we have all our internal tools. The most important is that all of the data is flowing to the same place, and that we can analyze it, play with it all together. So right now we use Google Cloud Platform, GCP, and BigQuery as data lake, and on top of this we use Mode Analytics as a BI tool. So what that allows us to do is have all the analysis. Obviously, when you want to make, past due invoices based on clients, or when you want to run any type of due diligence for your state taxes or everything, you have all the information. But also, one thing that is key is, as Pavla was mentioning, as we're growing, you are going to outgrow some of your tools at some point. And having made that effort to move all of your data, to at least have all of your data available in a data lake, will be key in just transitioning to your new system. So that's why we make the bet. We always make the investment very early on having those integrations, flowing all the data to GCP and BigQuery, and then it makes it much, much easier in the future.
Yeah, you're agnostic in terms of data model. You have your own data model in your GCP, and so you can plug anything. So it means that whenever you're considering a solution, one of the things you're looking at is, I assume, the functionalities, but the other would be the data model of, or at least the capability to send the data into GCP, right? It means that do you have tools that are not sending data directly to GCP that potentially you would integrate with another tool, or everything is, or do you have every tool directly connecting and sending data to BigQuery?
Yes, that's a great question. So to answer the first part, every time we are considering a new tool, we always look at interconnectivity. So right now we are considering moving through to an employer of record to hire possibly people in Europe. We're looking at deal and remote, and those two companies, one of the key requirements that we gave is, okay, how well do you interconnect with QuickBooks, and how well are you going to get the data maybe that's coming from JustWorks or PEO, etc. And to answer your second question, what we do when there is no direct integration with our data lake, so with GCP, for example, is we'll either use Zapier, which now connects well with some of the easy SQL tables, but otherwise we create custom scripts. So we have several scripts. For example, we use Toggle to track the time of our executive assistants, which is a tool where they say, okay, I've worked with this executive between that time and that time. This is what I was working on. And we use just a JavaScript script to be able to pull this information from Toggle into our data lake and then back into our systems so that we can throw it back to them.
Okay, yeah, that's very clear. And so when every normal people on finance team is starting their day with equal formula in Excel, you're starting with select. It's just another language, but that's the same idea, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, hopefully we don't even need to use select at all. It's like all in the systems and you have it accessible and available. Yeah, Pavla was talking about Looker and Tableau. We used to use Tableau a lot at Instacart. And what makes it great is that you don't know how to use select, you don't know how to use equal, but you're going to go into Tableau and you're going to be able to pull your data on your own.
Great. Johan, maybe tell us a bit more about Rainbird Technologies. Just one thing I'm not sure to know about it. Is it? Do you have one entity? Do you have several entities? Yeah. How do you organize the overall? Yeah. Do you have to close different aggregate books from different subsidiaries?
So we used to have a subsidiary that did our consulting, but it's all been migrated into one. We've got one entity in the UK. We close monthly, and we report monthly as well. So we're VC backed, so we have monthly VC reporting cycles. Use Xero as this is where our data is, and also our CRM. Obviously, as our pipeline comes in, I think somebody asked a question about KPIs, like integrating those tools for us, having the forward visibility on what is coming into the pipeline and how that might convert for us is really important to track that, because it directly relates to how our financial performance is. We're quite straightforward compared to consolidating 13 entities with FX and Excel.
And are you, besides using Rainbow Technologies for process automation and this chatbot that you mentioned before, workflows, are you using other types? Are you using a GCP or any type of data warehouse? Or are you keeping the data? Where are you storing the financial data?
All of our financial data is in Xero. And then we've got our CRM, which also has, it's not financial data, but it is the source of truth on commercial contracts that have been negotiated. And we have a connection between CRM and Xero through Zapier that helps us with invoicing, so that when a contract's approved, also around revenue recognition, when commencement date is, we've got all of that connected really nicely, so that we our invoices get posted and approved by a human with an audit background on what was agreed in the contract, and then also from there we can infer revenue recognition, because I think our contracts are all. I mean, we're like, I'm sure I'm looking to the other members of this panel, but in a startup, like your pricing's kind of done on a commercial negotiation way. So there isn't a set list for prices. So like automating that is quite difficult, because if it's not a drop-down list on one side of the tech, mapping to a drop-down list on the other side of the tech, like it doesn't matter what you do to integrate, it's going to be quite difficult to get that to work. And so that's what we're trying to get to. We're not quite there yet, so there is still some humans slacking each other saying, is this the final? What's happening? But we will get there.
Rainbow Technologies is not everywhere yet.
No,
not
it's a
yet.
journey. I think with anything, like, you know, starting, like, transforming a finance function, like, from anything, it's a journey, and it's I don't think there is a perfect solution, but like, you'll get there and you'll get like the best outcome for you in that need.
Yeah. Okay. Very very clear. And just for the name of the CRM you're using, is it what CRM are you using?
We're using Zoho, so we've got Zoho CRM and Zoho.
Zoho CRM. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. And so the source of truth would be Zoho CRM for any commercial data, like revenue, MRR, or the SaaS metrics, the subscription metrics. And when it comes to P&L data, the source of truth is Xero.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's tricky. The Xero, Zoho. So
yeah.
You get it. Perfect. Yeah, there's a question for you from Naomi, Johan. How do you manage contracts renewal, change to contracts? Yes, that's a great question with Zoho CRM, which might not be the most flexible CRM. How do you manage that?
Yeah. So like, I inherited Zoho. Yes, Naomi, that is a very, very astute observation. That is a challenge. I think, again, this is one of those human processes. It does connect via Zapier, but it's not. It doesn't connect effectively in a way that creates trust. So it connects, but it's always reviewed by a person. So yes, that is a challenge.
Okay, so if I summarize that, so Quentin, source of truth is BigQuery. Everything must be connected to BigQuery, and all the data are there. Pavla, it's a bit the same. It's your data warehouse that I assume is something around Microsoft, or what technology are you using for data warehouse? Is it?
Yeah, we use Azure, for everything.
Okay. Yeah, so it's the same. It's a source of truth for you, and for Johan, it would be Zoho and Xero for Zoho for SaaS data, and Xero for P&L and financial data. That's very interesting. So now, if we move to teams, because we were talking about great things, and certainly having the data in the data warehouse is being agnostic and being able to be agile and to move along the day. So in your case, Quentin, you are a one-person team, just because you can do so much on your own. Certainly, I would be curious. How did you? And there was a question earlier. How did you end up in finance, and how do you feel being a finance guy now, or even though you are finance and ops, versus being a software engineer before? Yeah, is it? What do you feel about it?
Yes, well, I have to say a lot of it is interconnected. I studied software engineering, but also corporate finance. And in my first career move was at LVMH, and I started in business analysis, corporate finance general. So I will say there's a lot of skills that we learn in software engineering that are useful in finance, and both of them are interconnected. Now moving to operations, what my, I think, added value has been is some of those approaches related to data, related to scripting, where a lot of things we do in operations, and namely at Instacart, for example, we had 10,000 shoppers in Canada. We opened 15 markets in 12 months. We had to use a lot of those automation scale solutions to be able to grow. So I will say that as of today, there is no position in the organization, and we talked about CRM for sales and a lot of tools for marketing. There is no position in the organization that doesn't need a data-driven approach and doesn't need to leverage technology. From that perspective, it is always interesting in finance and in other departments to use those skills. And when it comes to my personal mix, between finance and operations, it makes it interesting because we're able to have everything under one roof and then find the best person to manage each function as we grow. So in the future, right now, finance team is only half a person, but as we grow, we'll be able, thanks to the technology that we've put in place, to hire someone who's really, really focused on adding the value that we cannot bring from those systems.
And one question that was asked earlier is about like a business plan and anything that has to do with modeling. Whenever you need to do a forecast or let's say a budget, you don't use Excel for that. Are you the one doing that in the company? Aren't you using Excel? Do you manage? Yeah. How do you do that?
So we do bi-yearly budgets, and we do rolling forecasts. We do monthly closings as well. We're VC funded. We raise fund with Index and Daphne. We do monthly rolling forecasts, which are in Google Sheets, but a lot of the analysis actually come from SQL. So all the when I was before at LVMH, it was okay getting all of the extract in Excel from the ERP and then from all the invoicing, etc. You do your analysis in Excel. Now we do the analysis, get all of the key drivers, input that in the model, and then the model is just like fairly straightforward. I mean, our entire budgeting is 6 spreadsheets. It's six tabs in a Google Sheet, so it makes it super simple.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah. So you're leveraging technology a lot, but you still using Google Sheet for like any normal human being. So that's good to know.
There are some on the budgeting one. When I left LVMH, we were moving, because obviously the budgeting process is very, very heavy on spreadsheets and on Excel. We were moving to a tool called Anaplan, which was plugging directly into our ERP, and that was doing all of the budgeting, all of the forecasting. So even for this, I have hope that one day we will use an external tool connected to do even the budgeting and rolling forecast.
Yeah. Okay. Pavla, in your case, so you have a big team now. How did it evolve over time? Did you always add this scope? And when did you start to hire people that are more on the data side, or let's say engineering type of backgrounds?
Yeah, actually, like my first hire was probably a billing person, an accounting person for payables, receivables. And then straight after that, we needed a second one, or looking at better tools and automating. So actually my third person was a technical student from my university, actually, but who knows SQL really well, was able to create some easy VBA macros and at least the basic automation. And he's still with us, actually, and he's great. So I would say early as possible, at least for part-time. It's really good, and I think that it really helped us a lot. So from there, I think, yeah, we didn't hire the controlling team. That was really the priority. And yeah, FP&A really in the end. So that's our probably newest team. We hired our FP&A team 6 months ago, and now the second person. So that took a while, but yeah, for automation and reporting as early as possible, really, at least for the templates and for the analysis. It's making things much easier for the rest of the team when they don't have to export general ledgers from accounting and then create pivot tables, but they already have a Power BI report where they can go, they can just filter out the accounts that they need. They already have the data consolidated. So yeah, that has been a game changer really for us. So I would definitely recommend to hire somebody with SQL, at least reporting, VBA knowledge as early as possible.
And you, Pavla, do you have are you from an engineering background, or because I'm sure some people could ask themselves if they are able to manage this type of profile. I'm sure when you don't know what is BigQuery, what is a GCP, all this language, it can be a bit complex to start with. So are there any ways to or any recommendations that we can make to these people to start somewhere and be better leverage technology?
For me, I was doing reporting and data analysis basically before I started working in finance. So it was kind of natural, but I never knew SQL before I joined News. So that was mainly our tech guys just coming to me, and they were like, yeah, I'm not gonna catch you the fish, I'm gonna just teach you how to do it. So they were just giving me all of these SQL, basically just teaching me everything. So I had to. I did not have any choice really. If I wanted to have data, I had to just do it myself. So it was kind of natural in the end, just to teach the people doing this. And I don't think it's that hard. I don't think it's that complex. Just like for some, basic queries and just to pull the data from the warehouse, like you can do that. If you can do VLOOKUP or some ifs in Excel, you can figure out an SQL query as well. I think it's just not being probably stressed about it and just go for it. That's my advice.
Yeah, and I assume you were somehow lucky to find someone who is self-starter and has been able to really come with ideas and solutions. So I think the hiring part and finding the right. I'm not saying that you were lucky. Certainly, you have been smart enough to identify this person. But I could see scenarios where you hire someone who is not so much a self-starter, and so you don't necessarily know what to ask them, and then nothing really comes out. So that's important to hire. Yeah, people who,
like asking a fellow developer to help you to identify that person in an interview, that could help as well, right? Like I had the guys to check people that I was hiring that were like more technical than I am, just so that I know. I think that should be possible as well.
Well, great. And you, Johan, if you have to hire someone in the future, what type of profile would you add to the team, and why?
I think sort of data scientist, like that sort of level. Like I think it'd be really, really nice. Like we have a lot of data. Somebody that could look at that and mine the insights basically beyond, like if we're looking beyond finance, like if we're looking at forecasting all of our commercial data that's coming in, having a look at how, the decisions we made around strategy, how that impacted our historic results to help inform, like looking forward, that I'd look in that space.
Okay, great. Okay, so there's 3 minutes left, less than the 10 minutes I promised, but we took a lot of questions, so I'm sure there are not so many left. There is a question about what do the controlling team do from Niria? What do the controlling team do, and what do the FP&A do? Sometimes controllers do both. So Pavla, do you have a difference between controlling and FP&A at Muse?
Yeah, we didn't have in the beginning. It was just controlling team that was also planning with the leaders. Now, when we added controlling or like FP&A in, it's only about planning, and then financial partnering, basically business partnering with the leaders. So going through the financials, explaining things, trying to basically sell finance to non-finance people, and making sure that they plan their financials. Because for controllers, it's quite hard to guide people through that process and explain everything around it, because they still see it in their numbers, in their P&L. And once you have somebody who really focuses on explaining it and giving it to the business and selling it the right way, I think that generates the value. So it's controlling team when it comes to monthly closure for financials. Once we report the P&L, then it's time for FP&A team to pick that up and go back to the business and replan and reforecast for the upcoming period.
Very clear. Question for you, Quentin, I think from Laura. How do you write SQL? Do you need a specific program? Maybe you can answer to her.
Yes, for sure. So SQL is just a generic language that is going to be used on lots and lots of different tools. So as long as you have access to SQL databases, which is what most of our systems are based on right now, you can make direct requests, and that's what we were talking about earlier with the select. So with using select, you make a request to ask what the data is containing, but it's basically you can find it anywhere. And yes, you can use Power BI. You can use even Google Sheets has SQL requests included in them now, and you can find it everywhere.
Great, very useful. Yeah, you can actually do classes. There are a lot of free classes online to learn SQL and see what it looks like. It's quite straightforward, as Pavla said, and everybody can do it. We are all human. We all have the same capabilities, and it's doable for everyone here. And I'm sure it's the future of finance. There is so we have 1 minute left. There is a question from Jan. Do the board and investor see the value of the investment that are made into these stacks and these tools? Anyone has anything to say about it?
I would say now we do see it. We're in process of raising the Series A, and it's much smoother to do all the due diligence, to have pulled all the reports, to do the pitches to new investors, etc., because of those investments. And then also, I mean, Johan with the finance bot can also attest to this. A lot of investors just like the fact that we haven't hired a full-time equivalent, and that we've replaced some of those, manual tasks by technology. So on our side, absolutely, they will not say it out loud on a day-to-day basis, but I'm sure through the processes and through just the day-to-day basis, they do appreciate.
For sure, and I'm sure that they see that G&A at Double takes like 5% of the total revenue, which is much lower than in other companies. So they certainly ask why so, and I'm sure the answer is just Quentin is here, and he's streamlining everything. So thanks everyone. It's I think it's time. I think we're out of time. Yeah, we are. So thanks a lot for your very helpful contribution to everyone. It was a pleasure to be here with you. I do hope that we helped some people. I think there is a networking area after. So if you want to join there, you certainly can ask some specific question. Sorry for the question we couldn't take, but I do hope that you at least learned some stuff.
Thanks so much.
Charles. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.